So just finished watching all of Dress Up Darling and was left pretty unimpressed by it. Now going into this show, I was somewhat optimistic that I would like it, since the studio behind it is Cloverworks. Now Cloverworks made one of my favorite anime ever, Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Unfortunately, Cloverworks really dropped the ball on this one. Dress Up Darling is one of the most painstakingly boring anime I have ever forced myself to watch through in order to make this video review on it. The show Dress Up Darling is basically an anime about cosplaying, and therein kinda lies the problem. The subject of cosplaying is just kinda boring and uninteresting, and having a whole anime based off of it is just doomed for failure. Like, let's just say I'm an anime director at Cloverworks Studio, and let's say I receive a synopsis for Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. So reading the synopsis, I would be like, okay, girl in a bunny suit, there's a thing called puberty syndrome, some supernatural elements going on here, basically a Monogatari ripoff. Okay, brilliant. I reckon we can make a well-produced anime out of this, and maybe some movies and sequels down the line. But Dress Up Darling, on the other hand, if I was assigned that as an anime director and I read, there's a girl who likes to cosplay, I would just be like, oh god, how am I gonna stretch this one for 12 episodes? And yeah, I basically described why this anime is so boring. The plot is a boy meets a girl, obviously they're both in high school, and the boy makes costumes that the girl cosplays in. And every episode, they just kind of cosplay in a different costume. The main girl character, who I think her name was Mary or something, is not the best looking anime girl I've ever seen. In fact, I think it's fair to say she's on the ugly spectrum for anime girls. Now, please don't twist my words here. I'm really not one for giving too much care or even thought about the looks and beauty of characters in an anime. But in a show built off fan service via cosplays, I would have thought that they would put a bit more effort into making the main girl character more attractive. It just seems like a massive oversight, but what do I know? That's just my opinion. Anyways, the show is boring. I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit now, but basically episode 1 starts with the boy and girl meeting and teaming up to make cosplay. It's probably the best episode in the show since we're seeing our characters for the first time. But then episodes 2 through episode 10 are just a total bore fest where we basically have a cosplay for the episode, and the boy creates said cosplay and the girl wears it and just looks unattractive in it. And then the final 2 episodes, they get into like a weird labor exploitation argument. Like all of episode 11, the boy is moaning and he's being like, I'm not a fan of this contract anymore. I'm stuck here working my tail off for hours, and then you get to be the toast of the town at every anime convention. And she's kind of brushing him aside like, oh, will you stop moaning already? And I don't know, the topic just seems out of place for this anime, but I suppose there wasn't many places they could have taken the show anywhere interesting. Just making an anime based off cosplay is just inherently boring and lame, and there's just not a whole lot you can do about it. Now, upon finishing this show and not enjoying my time with it, I took a look at other reviews from YouTubers and bloggers, as well as just getting a general feel of the mainstream perception of the show, and I was pretty shocked at how well received the show has been. But in hindsight, pretty much all the reviews I read or watched on the internet would proceed to advertise a Crunchyroll or Funimation code by the end where you could watch the show. So obviously there's financial incentive to say, Dress Up Darling, 10 out of 10 show, Mary, S-tier waifu. And just following the principle of basic marketing, positive reviews just come from the top down, and now the mindless masses also think Dress Up Darling is an amazing show, and we're just in this stupid scenario where we all have to pretend that Dress Up Darling is so amazing. But yeah, I obviously refuse to do that, and let me know in the comments if you also agree with my opinions, as I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel similarly to me. So in conclusion, I would give Dress Up Darling a measly 3 out of 10. Props to Cloverworks for dragging this thing out for 12 episodes, but next time consider adapting something that brings more to the table.